Part 3. "If I had a tail, I'd lash it," groaned Ilsa, casting herself on Emily's bed and hurling one of Emily's treasured volumes, a little old copy of the Rubaiyat Teddy had given her in high school days, across the room. The back came off, and the leaves flew every which way for a Sunday. Emily was annoyed. "Were you ever in such a state that you can neither cry nor pray nor swear?" demanded Ilsa. "Sometimes," agreed Emily dryly. "But I don't take it out on books that never harmed me. I just go and bite off somebody's head." "There wasn't anybody's head handy to bite off, but I did something that was just as effective," said Ilsa, casting a malevolent glance at Perry Miller's photograph, which was propped up on Emily's desk. Emily glanced at it too, and her face murrified, as Ilsa expressed it. The photograph was still there, but where Perry's intent and unabashed eyes had gazed out at her were now only jagged, unsightly holes. Emily was furious. Perry had been so proud of those photographs. They were the first he had had taken in his life. Never could afford any before, he had said frankly. He looked very handsome in them, though his pose was a bit truculent and aggressive, with his wavy hair brushed back sleekly, and his firm mouth and chin showing to excellent advantage. Aunt Elizabeth had gazed at it, secretly wondering how she had ever dared make such a fine-looking young man as that eat in the kitchen. And Aunt Laura had wiped her eyes sentimentally, and thought that, perhaps, after all, Emily and Perry, a lawyer would be quite a thing to have in the family, coming in a good third to minister and doctor. Though, to be sure, Stovepipe Town. Perry had rather spoiled the gift for Emily by proposing to her again. It was very hard for Perry Miller to get it into his head that anything he wanted he couldn't get. And he had always wanted Emily. "I've got the world by the tail now," he said proudly. "Every year will find me higher up. Why can't you make up your mind to have me, Emily?" "Is it just a question of making up one's mind?" asked Emily satirically. "Of course. What else?" "Listen, Perry," said Emily decidedly. "You're a good old pal. I like you. I'll always like you. But I'm tired of this nonsense, and I'm going to put a stop to it. If you ever again ask me to marry you, I'll never speak to you as long as I live. Since you are good at making up your mind, make up yours which you want, my friendship or my non-existence." "Oh, well," Perry shrugged his shoulders philosophically. He had about come to the conclusion, anyhow, that he might as well give up dangling after Emily Starr and getting nothing but snubs for his pains. 10 years was long enough to be a rejected but faithful swain. There were other girls, after all. Perhaps he had made a mistake. Too faithful and persistent. If he had wooed by fits and starts, blowing hot and cold like Teddy Kent, he might have had better luck. Girls were like that. But Perry did not say this. Stovepipe Town had learned a few things. All he said was, "If you'd only stop looking at me in a certain way, I might get over hankering for you. Anyhow, I'd never have got this far along if I hadn't been in love with you. I just have been a hired boy somewhere, or a fisherman at the harbor. So, I'm sorry. I haven't forgotten how you believed in me and helped me and stood up for me to your Aunt Elizabeth. It's been... Perry's handsome face flushed suddenly, and his voice shook a little. It's been sweet to dream about you all these years. I guess I'll have to give it up now. No use, I see. But don't take your friendship from me too, Emily. Never, said Emily, impulsively putting out her hands. You're a brick, Perry dear. You've done wonders, and I'm proud of you. And now, to find the picture he had given her, ruined. She flashed on Ilse, eyes like a stormy sea. Ilse Burnley, how dare you do such a thing? No use squizzling your eyebrows up at me like that, beloved demon, retorted Ilse. Has it no effect on me at all? Couldn't endure that picture nohow. And Stovepipe Town in the background. What you've done is on a level with Stovepipe Town. Well, he asked for it, smirking there. Behold me. I am a person in the public eye. Never had such satisfaction as boring your scissors through those conceited orbs gave me. 2 more seconds of looking at them, and I'd have flung up my head and howled. Oh, how I hate Perry Miller, puffed up like a poisoned pup. I thought you told me you loved him, said Emily rather rudely. It's the same thing, said Ilse morosely. Emily, why can't I get that creature out of my mind? It's too Victorian to say heart. I haven't any heart. I don't love him. I do hate him. But I can't keep from thinking about him. That's just the state of mind. Oh, I could yell at the moon. But the real reason I dug his eyes out was his turning grit after having been born and raised conservative. You are a conservative yourself. True, but unimportant. I hate turncoats. I've never forgiven Henry IV for turning Catholic. Not because he was a Protestant, but just because he was a turncoat, I would have been just as implacable as if he had been Catholic and turned Protestant. Perry has changed his politics just for the sake of getting into partnership with Leonard Abel. There's Stovepipe Town for you. Oh, he'll be Judge Miller and rich as wedding cake. But I wish he had had 100 eyes so that I could have bored them all out. This is one of the times I feel it would be handy to have been a bosom friend of Lucrezia Borgia, who is an excellent and rather stupid woman, beloved for her good works. Oh, I know the modern whitewashers are determined to rob history of anything that is picturesque. No matter. I shall cling to my faith in Lucrezia and William Tell. Put that picture out of my sight. Please, Emily. Emily put the maltreated picture away in a drawer of her desk. Her brief anger had gone. She understood. At least, she understood why the eyes had been cut out. It was harder to understand just why Ilse could care so much and so incurably for Perry Miller. And there was just the hint of pity in her heart as well. Condescending pity for Ilse, who cared so much for a man who didn't care for her. I think this will cure me, said Ilse savagely. I can't, I won't love a turncoat. Blind bat, congenital idiot that he is. Pa, I'm through with him. Emily, I wonder I don't hate you, rejecting with scorn what I want so much. Ice-cold thing, Did you ever really care for anything or any creature except that pen of yours? Perry has never really loved me, evaded Emily. He only imagines he does. Well, I'd be content if he would only just imagine he loved me. How brazen I am about it. You're the one person in the world I can have the relief of saying such things to. That's why I can't let myself hate you, after all. I dare say I'm not half as unhappy as I think myself. One never knows what may be around the next corner. After this, I mean to bore Perry Miller out of my life and thoughts, just as I bored his eyes out. Emily, with an abrupt change of tone and posture. Do you know, I like Teddy Kent better this summer than I ever did before. Oh. The monosyllable was eloquent, but Ilsa was deaf to all its implications. Yes, he's really charming. Those years in Europe have done something to him. Perhaps it's just that they've taught him to hide his selfishness better. Teddy Kent isn't selfish. Why do you call him selfish? Look at his devotion to his mother. Because she adores him. Teddy likes to be adored. That's why he's never fallen in love with anyone, you know. That, and because the girls chased him so, perhaps. It was sickening in Montreal. They made such asses of themselves, waiting on him with their tongues hanging out, that I wanted to dress in male attire and swear I wasn't of their sex. No doubt it was the same in Europe. No man alive can stand 6 years of that without being spoiled, and contemptuous. Teddy is all right with us. He knows we're old pals who can see through him and will stand no nonsense. But I've seen him accepting tribute, graciously bestowing a smile, a look, a touch as a reward, saying to everyone just what he thought she'd like to hear. When I saw it, I always felt I'd love to say something to him that he'd think of for years whenever he woke up at 3 o'clock a night. The sun had dropped into a bank of purple cloud behind the Delectable Mountain, and a chill and shadow swept down the hill and across the dewy clover fields to New Moon. The little room darkened, and the glimpse of Blairwater through the gap in Lofty John's bush changed all at once to livid gray. Emily's evening was spoiled, but she knew that Ilsa was mistaken about many things. There was one comfort, too. Evidently, she had kept her secret well. Not even Ilsa suspected it, which was agreeable to both the Murray and the Star. Part 4. But Emily sat long at her window, looking into the black night that turned slowly to pale silver as the moon rose. So the girls had chased Teddy. She wished she had not run quite so quickly when he had called from Lofty John's bush. "Oh, whistle, and I'll come to you, my lad," was all very well in song, but one was not living in a Scotch ballad. And that change in Ilsa's voice, that almost confidential note. Did Ilsa mean? How pretty Ilsa had looked tonight, in that smart sleeveless dress of green, sprinkled with tiny golden butterflies, with a green necklace that circled her throat and fell to her hips like a long green snake, with her green gold-buckled shoes. Ilse always wore such ravishing shoes. Did Ilse mean? And if she did? After breakfast, Aunt Laura remarked to Cousin Jimmy that she felt sure something was on the dear child's mind.